In a forgotten corner of a bustling city lived a woman named Shazia, who wore the same torn shoes every day and sold flowers at the traffic signals to feed her 2 children. Her days began before sunrise, when the world was still asleep, and ended long after the city lights dimmed. Shazia's husband had vanished one day after promising he'd return with money. He never did. With no family to turn to and barely enough to survive, Shazia had to become both mother and father to her kids. Every rupee she earned came at the cost of standing in the scorching sun, facing insults, and sometimes going hungry herself so her children could eat. Despite it all, she never begged, not once. She held her head high, even when her stomach growled with hunger. There were nights when the cold pierced through the thin cloth of her shawl, and her children huddled next to her on the pavement, shivering. She would wrap them in whatever rags she had and whisper bedtime stories about a future where they'd live in a real house with windows and a door that locked. Her son Hamza believed her. Her daughter Noor would smile in her sleep. That gave Shazia the strength to fight another day. Her biggest dream wasn't luxury. It was to see her children go to school, wear clean clothes, and never have to live the life she did. One rainy evening, as she stood near the signal holding a basket of wilting roses, a young woman in a car noticed her. The woman, a social worker named Mahira, had seen Shazia many times but had never stopped. This time she rolled down the window and asked her name. Shazia hesitated, but something about Mahira's eyes felt safe. That simple act of kindness became a turning point. Mahira visited again the next day and the next. She began helping Shazia sell her flowers in better spots, introduced her to a women's shelter, and eventually arranged for her children to be enrolled in a local school. For the first time in years, Shazia slept without fear of someone stealing what little she owned. She began working part-time at the shelter, cleaning and organizing, and slowly saved enough to rent a small one-room home. It had a real roof. The first night they moved in, Noor looked around and whispered, "Ammi, it's like a palace." Shazia couldn't hold back her tears. She knelt and kissed her daughter's forehead. It wasn't a palace, but it was a start. Years passed, and Shazia continued to work hard, refusing to let poverty define her children's future. Hamza grew up to be a teacher, Noor a nurse. Every time someone asked about their mother, they spoke of a woman who taught them dignity, sacrifice, and the power of never giving up. Shazia never became rich, but she became something far more powerful, the root of a legacy that would bloom for generations. And even when her shoes were no longer torn, she kept them in a box as a reminder, not of her suffering, but of her strength.